Hi, before I get into this video, I recommend using the subtitles to help you guys understand me. Atlas Fallen was released on August 10, 2023 to mixed reviews from both critics and players. It landed a 64 on Metacritic, with praise directed at its above average combat, but criticism aimed at its lackluster story and poor voice acting. While some appreciated its fast-paced action, others found it forgettable due to technical issues and a lack of depth in its world building. Fast forward nearly 2 years later, and the game has received a massive free update titled Regions of Sand, which landed on August 7, 2024. This update introduced new enemies, challenges, reworked progression, additional quests, improved voice acting, and new difficulty options, including a new Game Plus mode. While many early players wrote off Atlas Fallen at launch, I wanted to see if this update made a real difference. Since I've only played the game post-update, I can't compare it to the original version, but I can tell you whether it's worth playing now. For me, combat was by far the best part of Atlas Fallen. The game offers 3 different weapons, 2 main weapons designed for close range combat, and a secondary long range weapon. The game allows you to swap between these weapons seamlessly, making fights feel dynamic and fluid. It's not just about button mashing either. Timing, dodging, and strategic use of your abilities play a major role in how the battles unfold. Each weapon also has a weight and impact that feels satisfying, and you can customize your combat style further through different armor sets. These armors can be upgraded and offer stat boosts, allowing for more personalization builds. Then there are the Essence Stones, a mechanic that truly elevates combat. These stones can be equipped to your gauntlet, guaranteeing unique abilities that change how you approach fights. Some give you powerful attacks, while others provide defensive buffs or healing options. On top of that, Essence Stones can also be upgraded, giving you even more incentive to experiment with different builds. With over 20 enemy types, including boss fights, the game keeps combat fresh and engaging. Enemies have distinct attack patterns, which you need to adopt instead of relying on the same moves over and over again. The bosses, in particular, were challenging and visually impressive, adding a sense of scale and intensity to encounters overall. Combat is where Atlas Fallen truly shines, and it's the main reason to play this game. One of the biggest downsides of Atlas Fallen is its technical problems. While the game has a strong art style, its graphics feel outdated. The character models in particular look old-gen, which really hurts the game's overall presentation. Performance-wise, it struggles even on a high-end hardware. I played it on a 4080 graphic card, and the game still couldn't maintain a steady 60 frame. There were frequent frame drops, especially in larger areas, and constant pop-ins that made the world feel unfinished. To make matters worse, there are no settings to toggle certain graphic features on or off, which makes it frustrating for players trying to optimize the performance. On top of that, the game has its fair share of bugs. I encountered hard crashes, occasional save issues, and weird animation glitches that broke immersion. The update improved stability somewhat, but there are still some problems. One of the biggest criticism at launch was the story, with many players calling it bland and forgettable. I went in with low expectations, but surprisingly, I found it better than I expected. That said, it's far from perfect. The beginning of the game is rough, the writing is all over the place, and the main character's voice acting was straight up bad, as the protagonist mumbles and moans constantly, making their dialogue sound forced and unnatural. Thankfully, this awkward phase only lasts for 20 minutes before the quality improves. After that, the dialogue feels more natural and the voice actors actually sound like they care about what they're saying. The main story itself follows a fairly predictable path, but does just enough to keep you engaged. It has some decent world building and interesting lore, but now goes deep enough to make the world feel truly immersed. Some plot twists are predictable, while others are genuinely surprising. Where the game really shines is in its side quests. Unlike many other RPGs where the side quests feel like pointless fetch quests, Atlas Fallen actually gives meaningful reasons to complete them. Some have emotional weight, while others reveal more about the world and its history. My biggest complaint is that there isn't enough side quests and most of the NPCs feel flat. Only about 3 characters stand out, making me wish they had more depth and a bigger role in the main story. Despite these flaws, the story is serviceable and kept me invested enough to see it through to the end. The ending of Atlas Fallen was one of the most frustrating parts of the experience. It felt like the developers artificially extended the game's length just to make it seem longer. Instead of delivering a satisfying final battle, they throw waves after waves of enemies at you. Rather than being challenging, this final section just felt tedious. The constant enemy spawns don't add difficulty, they just drag the game out longer than necessary. There were moments when it felt like I was fighting the same enemies over and over again with very little variation in strategy. The final boss itself was underwhelming, lacking the cinematic spectacle that the build-up promised. Instead of an epic showdown, it felt more like another routine encounter, just with a larger health bar. By the time I reached the credits, I felt exhausted rather than satisfied. A well-paced cinematic battle could have made the journey feel worthwhile, but instead it left me with a sense of frustration. So, is Atlas Fallen really that bad? Not at all. It's a fun action RPG with great combat and a decent story, and solid RPG mechanics. However, it's held back by its technical issues, inconsistent writing, and an underwhelming ending. The free update has definitely improved the experience, especially with better voice acting and new content, but it's still not worth the full price. If you find it on sale or available through a gaming subscription, then it's worth playing. Otherwise, there are better action RPGs out there that offer a more polished experience. Would I recommend it? Yes, but under the right conditions. Thank you for watching this video. Leaving a like, comment and subscribing would mean a lot. Also see you guys next week with another review.